some news from the NFL today. Jameis Winston rewarded for his strong performance against the Ravens, named Week 8's AFC Offensive Player of the Week. Winston's first Player of the Week award since Week 4 of 2019. He's the first Browns quarterback to be named Player of the Week since Baker Mayfield won the award Week 7 of 2020. We're really happy to have Michael Lombardi, former NFL GM, three-time Super Bowl winning NFL executive, host of the GM Shuffle podcast and the Lombardi Line, weekdays on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Michael, I know you watch all of the games and you keep a close eye on this, your work at VSiN. What did you think? What did you see from Jameis Winston at quarterback against the Ravens?
I saw life. I saw a team that came back to life. I saw a team that was on a respirator, that was, had the priest being called in for last rites, and he came in and gave them life. He gave them hope, which is what we've been saying. Look, here's the reality. You're in a town that prides itself on the organization called the Cleveland Browns, pride themselves on being analytical. They pride themselves on saying, hey, we're going to be unique. We're going to spend a lot of money on analytics. We're going to handle this. We think the game is steered towards analytics. We have a full analytics department. Our president knew nothing about football. He's a baseball president, but because he knows analytics, we're going to make him a president. And yet they continue to lie to us and tell us that Deshaun was playing well. When if you're an analytically based company and you believe in the numbers were just unbelievably bad. I mean, up until last week, counting college football and pro football, no team had ever scored less than 20 points other than the Browns. And so to me, it was a joke. It was comedy. It was like, how much longer are you going to tolerate this guy being a bad player? And I think eventually, it took an injury for it to happen, an unfortunate injury, but nonetheless, like last year, it made him a better team. I mean, look, Joe Flacco comes in, he takes the team over, throws the ball down the field. They look like a completely different offense. Alex Van Pelt loses his job over it because he couldn't get Deshaun Watson to play as well as Joe Flacco. So now they bring in Ken Dorsey, and all of a sudden Ken Dorsey can't get Deshaun to play well either. And then they have the Jameis Winston. Next thing you know, they're moving the football. What's the common denominator here? Watson can't play.
Yeah, so you've been in front offices. You've been in Super Bowl winning front offices. What are the? How does that? Who ultimately makes that decision? I guess is what I'm getting at. That we're going to stick with them.
Money makes a decision. Green makes a decision. When you have that kind of investment in a quarterback, you'll convince yourself of anything, which is what they were doing. They were convincing themselves it was always somebody else's fault. Look, applaud them for the boldness that they took to go try to get Watson. They're committed to try to find a franchise quarterback. Don't give them credit for giving him a fully guaranteed contract after his behavior in Houston, which was appallable, which was deplorable. Right. I mean, to me, that was you're rewarding a guy who was really not behaved off the field in the model that you want him to be in. And you go and reward him with the first full-time, fully guaranteed contract in the history of the NFL. Unprecedented to an unprecedented player. Right. If you give it to Tom Brady, I get it. You give it to Deshaun Watson after he's had to settle over 20 civil suits. That's probably not the right idea. But they're at their quest to get a quarterback. But now what happened was the cover-up was worse than the play. I mean, they could keep convincing themselves that this guy's a good player, and he wasn't. And there was analytical evidence. And if you're an analytical-based company that you rely on the analytics, how do you keep looking at that and say we're making progress?
So if you were in that front office, at what point in time would you have been? I mean, there's a point in time where if you did it 2 or 3 weeks ago, you still could have saved some semblance of having a chance to make the playoffs this year.
Well, that's the job of the front office is you have to anticipate problems. You can't react to them. But if you have your head buried in the sand because you've got this guy, look, they doubled down on this contract. They went ahead and guaranteed his base salary so they could get more cap room, and they'll move it into next year so they have it. But he's impossible to cut. I mean, this is going to be a real problem for them moving forward. And I think to me that they should have recognized it. I mean, he had not played well other than a half against Baltimore, and you've not seen him play well.